Welcome everyone to tonight's Mayoral Forum, Little Rock Big Choice. I'm Amanda Yeager for THV 11 News right here live from the Stella Boyle Smith Hall on University of Arkansas at Little Rock's campus. On the stage right now are the 5 candidates vying to be our city's next CEO, replacing Mayor Mark Stodola. These men want your vote in the general election on November 6th, and we're just days away from early voting on October 22nd. We want to say thank you tonight to UA Little Rock for opening their stage to us, and let's also give these candidates a round of applause for stepping up and offering to take on the challenge of leading Little Rock. Now, we will hear from the candidates in just a moment, but first, I want to explain why tonight's forum is the first of its kind in Arkansas. Behind me here are 25 cards organized into 5 categories, and one at a time, each candidate will choose a card and then have 60 seconds to answer the question hidden on the back of it. The candidates can only pick one question from each category. Arkansas Business's Lance Turner will be watching the clock tonight. He joins me now to explain how the candidates will have a chance to react to another candidate's answer. Lance, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Absolutely. You've been busy working multiple forums before this, so we're excited to have you.
That's right. It doesn't even scratch the surface of all the forums that these gentlemen have been doing. I'm honored to be here tonight, though, and I'll tell you, this is going to be a little different from some of the others that these gentlemen have taken part in. Tonight, the candidates have been given 2 red cards. We call them red card rebuttals. Each red card rebuttal is worth 30 seconds of time. They can be used at any time during tonight's questions to rebut another candidate or respond to another candidate's topic. If multiple candidates raise a red card, we will start with the one who raised their card first. It should make for an interesting night.
Yes, interesting, exciting, and very informative. And of course, you're also tasked with making sure everybody stays within those time restraints.
That's right. As you said, we've got a clock. Candidates have 60 seconds to answer the questions from the board over here to our left. The clock starts once the candidate begins answering that question, and I will hit this bell if they go over.
All right, sounds good. Now, all of these 25 questions were submitted by you at home. The candidates have not seen any of these questions. And now, if we do not get to all of the 25 questions during this hour, we will continue this on THV11.com and also on our THV11 Facebook page. We also hope you'll join in on the conversation tonight by tweeting us with the hashtag LRBigChoice. We'll also have an interactive poll a little later on. You can cast your vote at THV11.com/vote or on your THV 11 app. Now let's get to the introductions. Each candidate will have 30 seconds to introduce themselves tonight, and after the questions, they'll have another 30 seconds to make a final plea for your vote. When the candidates arrived tonight, we drew numbers to determine the order they're in right now. We also want to ask the audience, please hold your applause until the end of the hour. So we'll go ahead and start with our first candidate, Baker Curris. You can head up to the mic.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I can't wait to share the evening with you. I'm Baker Curris. I'm a 38-year resident of Little Rock, where I've been involved in business and community service. You may recall that I sat on the school board for 12 years and was also the superintendent of schools for 14 months, where I was a servant leader. That's what I want to be. I want to be a servant leader. I want to work for you. I want to turn this city upside down, where the mayor serves every single person in our city, and where our city comes together, where we're unified, pulling together, and doing everything we can to make this a world-class place.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Curris. We do want to remind you, please hold your applause. Please hold your applause until the end. Thank you so much. We also want to bring up Frank Scott. You can head up to the mic now for your introduction.
Good evening. My name is Frank Scott Jr., son of our city. I'm the only candidate that's born and raised in Little Rock. I'm a product of Little Rock Public Schools, an associate pastor, a banker, a former senior advisor to Governor Mike Beebe, and a former state highway commissioner. The reason why I'm running for mayor of my hometown is because I want to unify our city, secure our neighborhoods, help create a world-class educational system. But not only that, it's time to engage our youth to make certain we don't lose them to the streets and focus on jobs growth for all. Thank you so much for this evening, and it's great to be here at one of my alma maters. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. We now welcome Vincent Tolliver up to the stage.
Good evening, Little Rock. My name is Vincent Tolliver. I'm a former U.S. Congress Democratic nominee for the 4th Congressional District, and it is my honor and privilege to be running for mayor of Little Rock. I'm running for mayor of Little Rock for one simple reason. That reason is people. People first. Our campaign is steeped in the principles of fairness, service, justice, and equality. And when you lead with service, justice, and equality, you can't go wrong. So at the polls, remember Vincent Tolliver for mayor of Little Rock. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll now welcome Glenn Schwartz up.
And I am Glenn Schwartz, a candidate for mayor of Little Rock. Mayor Schwartz be with you. I wanted to go right into the issues. I'm running for mayor to decriminalize marijuana in Little Rock right away. Also, I'd like to right away restore recycle services to all of the citizens of Little Rock. And finally, I've got a future vision where I think that we need to prepare Little Rock for dramatic expansion of its population, build a tomorrow world city, a world-class city. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and then we'll welcome up Warwick Saban.
I'm Warwick Saban, and I'm running for mayor to build stronger neighborhoods throughout our city by reducing crime, improving our public schools, creating more jobs everywhere in our city, and improving infrastructure and mobility. I've been spending the last 6 years in the Arkansas House of Representatives. I've been in the private sector, and my community service experience all qualifies for me for this job, and I look forward to the debate this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much. And we will begin the questions. First up, we have Baker Curris. Again, you'll have 60 seconds to answer, and the clock will start as soon as you begin answering. So what is your first question choice for tonight?
I'd like not politics for 5.
Did you work while in high school? If so, how did it help shape you?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that. I started washing dishes at Long Island Yacht Club when I was 12, and I rode my bicycle home at night. My parents let me do that. I got my first big break when I got a job at Chambers Landing and Resort cleaning fish at age 14, and I started paying Social Security taxes in 1969. I made $600 that summer, and I thought I had literally robbed a bank, and it changed my life because I knew what hard work was all about. Then I got a job working construction with a guy named Craig Kuykendall, who did the first heart transplants in the state of Arkansas. He and I were in ditches together all through college, and it made a difference in my life. I saved all that money. I could have bought a Corvette, but I saved that money and put myself through college and law school, and I've never regretted it. I never have regretted it. Hard work makes a difference, and it gave me an appreciation for what I could do if I was motivated, if people helped me. I did nothing by myself, but those great people that gave me those opportunities are still near and dear to me. So yes, absolutely, I love hard work, and I can't wait to work for you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Frank Scott up. What question would you like for tonight?
I would like better together.
Which number?
Number 3.
Would your administration implement a strategy to make Little Rock more green, i.e. tax breaks for businesses, homeowners who have renewable energy?
With the question being about better together, I'm here to share with you that going green is not the top priority of the Scott administration. The top priority of the Scott administration is to unify our city, to help make certain that we move from being disconnected to connected, and to focus on jobs growth. Those are the top priorities of the Scott administration as we move forward. Now, as we move forward with that, we'll be able to tackle other plaguing issues that are going forward with our city right now as it relates to unifying our city, securing our neighborhoods, helping engage in our youth, and also focus on education. But as it relates to sustainability, yes, we have great things that are going on right now with our Sustainability Commission. We have to have more renewable energy. We have to focus more on solar energy, and that will help with our economy. But again, the priority of the Scott administration is to focus on unifying our city. That truly is better together.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Vincent Tolliver. What question would you like for tonight?
Thank you, Amanda. I'll take serve and protect, number 2.
Little Rock Police Department has had several life-saving administrations of Narcan, but it was all purchased with donations. Would you put money in the budget to buy this life-saving drug?
Absolutely, I would, because it makes sense when we can protect lives. It also makes sense to be proactive when we're talking about protecting lives of the residents of the city. And I'd also like to add, Amanda, not only would I put money in the budget for Narcan, but I would also make sure that our police officers are experienced in community policing. What that means is a change in leadership. It is no mistake in Little Rock that you have a police department that's out of control. You all may have seen the latest headlines that broke earlier this week, and those headlines said this: Little Rock's dangerous and illegal drug war. And there's a reason it said that. And so it talked about the affidavits that were being issued throughout this city and the bias in the issuing of those affidavits. What it said clearly is there was 133 affidavits issued, and from that 133 affidavits, there was 110 targeted at African Americans. That's wrong, and we need to change.
All right, thank you very much. Glenn Schwartz, you're up. What question would you like?
On the streets, number 4.
Okay, you'll need to go to the microphone so we can hear you.
I'll get there.
This viewer wants to ask about city services. They write, I live in what some might think is less desirable neighborhood, but I pay taxes like everyone else. I've noticed that our city services are lacking. After a storm last summer, debris and damaged power poles sat in the streets for months. What will you do to help underserved communities like mine?
Well, I'll disagree that we have bad services. I mentioned in my opening statement, I did not agree with the termination of the recycle services that we saw a few years ago. We used to have these igloos for recycling collection at 6 locations, and everybody could participate in it. And then they went to the curbside, and now the main objective of recycling is to collect a $5 tax from every house. The houses get to participate. The houses get to participate in the recycle program. Those people who live in apartments, condominiums, and lofts do not. I can change this in my first year as your mayor. We will replace the 4 or 5 recycle collection bins and allow everybody to recycle. And recycling, after all, is a subset of waste reduction that's going to the dump. I have, Little Rock has assumed responsibility for landfill, and I have several other issues like plastic bottles and plastic stuff that I think I can address as your mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Now we have Warwick Saban. What question would you like tonight?
And I'd like to take Serve and Protect number 1.
The FBI ranked Little Rock one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. last year. The federal agency used statistics on violent crime and property crime. What are your plans to change Little Rock's crime reputation?
Well, I talk about this a lot because 2017 was one of the most violent years in the history of the city of Little Rock for so many different reasons. And everywhere I go in the city, I talk to people who've been victimized by violent crime or by property crime, or people who've called 911 and nobody comes, or they're slow to come. And I talk to the police who talk about the fact that they're undermanned and under-resourced. And we talk to store owners or real estate agents who are seeing a decline in sales or decline in home sales because of our violent crime problem. What we need to do is make sure that we have a fully staffed police department. When I started my campaign, there were 81 vacancies in the police department. We need to be fully staffed, and then we need to analyze what strength do we need to make sure we adequately police this city. We also need to get back to community policing, which is a strategy that's worked so well in the past year in Little Rock. Basically, cops walking the beat, riding their bikes in every neighborhood in the city. That will help reduce crime as well. And if we pay attention to code enforcement, if we pay attention to youth services and community services that keep kids off the street, we're going to do a lot better to reduce the crime in an urgent way, and I'll do that as your mayor.
All right, thank you so much, Warwick Saban. That ends round 1, but it looks like we might be taking a quick break.
No, we're going to go ahead and go to round 2, in
okay,
fact.
Round 2,
No,
right.
no break necessary. Baker Curris is at the microphone now. Which category would you like to hear?
I'd like to take Protect and Serve for 3, please.
What would you do to improve the area around UA Little Rock in terms of jobs, infrastructure, crime, and public perception in general?
Well, the thing about this wonderful university is it's disconnected from our community. This is a marvelous place. It's substantially underfunded, as is UAMS, as is Pulaski Technical College. And the start to improve this university and the area around it is to go to the legislature and ask them to stop punishing our state and our city by underfunding the very institutions that are essential for our survival. If you look at what's happened here with enrollment, if you look at the 50 lost jobs at UAMS, and if you look at Pulaski Tech and the mission and the purpose of that university, the legislature is failing us and has failed us miserably. And as the mayor of this town, I will not tolerate that. That's the starting place. Then we have to connect this university and all the other various employers in the neighborhood on the 630 corridor with boulevards, walking trails, and biking trails. We have to have a more a cleaner out city here. We have to have more code enforcement just east of here. There's much more to say.
All right, thank you very much. Frank Scott, what question would you like this round?
On the streets, number one.
All right, Little Rock cycling community continues to grow. Not all drivers support more designated bike-friendly lanes in Little Rock. Where do you stand on the idea?
In my frank discussions, whether it was in Petaway or Ponderosa or even Pleasant Valley, we understand that the biking and cyclist community is a near and dear part of our city and is great for a quality of life. But in the Scott administration, before we have to continue to forward the cyclist community on their issues, I think we have to have more sidewalks in our city in general. When you go to East Little Rock, there are no sidewalks there whatsoever. And so they want to see a sidewalk before they would see a cycling community at that point in time. And so in the Scott administration, I will focus more on sidewalks as well as figure out different ways how we can focus on our Complete Streets program and expand that at the same time. But the priority would be from a sidewalk perspective. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Vincent Tolliver, you can come up. What question would you like?
Amanda, I will take not politics, number one.
All right, not politics, number one. What is the last book you read? Why did you read it, and what did you learn from it?
Well, thank you very much. I checked out a book from Central Arkansas Library System, which I love. I've been a card, I've carried a library card since elementary school. And so the last book that I read was Dostoevsky's The Idiot. It is one of my favorite novels. I am a fan of the Russian writers. And so, of course, you may not, if you're not familiar with Dostoevsky's The Idiot, then perhaps you're familiar with Crime and Punishment. So The Idiot is my last novel that I read. And what I like about The Idiot is it gets to the inner workings of human beings. The story focuses on a guy named Prince Mushkin, and in that story, Dostoevsky paints him as a Christ-like figure. He has what they call the falling disease, and that disease sort of preempts him from being a regular part of society. So the backdrop of the story is a preoccupation with wealth, power, and some other things. But I love the story because the Russian writers, what they do very well is get to the root of human emotions.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Glenn Schwartz back up. What question would you like tonight?
Let's try the report card category for 4, please.
Report card for 4. Your question is, during your administration, what role do you see Little Rock's colleges and universities playing in partnership with the city, economic, educational, or otherwise?
I believe in the separation of church and state. I believe in the separation of the education system in the state. I don't see how these have anything to do with the running of the city of Little Rock. I have said before, and I'm quoted in the Times as saying, I will be a part-time mayor. I intend to work about half-time, 20 hours a week or so, but in exchange, I will accept only 1/3 of the mayor's salary. And I'm going to do that by kind of focusing on what the city does best. The university here is kind of separate. I do say that I would like to see bike paths and sidewalks connecting up all the schools and universities in the city. Here in ULR, you walk about 100 yards this way, and when you leave the campus, there is a mud cow path from here all the way up University. I've been here for 30 years, and I've always said, why don't we build a sidewalk on that University Street so that our students and people coming down University are not walking in the mud.
All right, thank you very much. And now we have Warwick Saban. What question would you like tonight?
I'll take report card number 1.
Report card number 1. Your question is, what suggestions could you offer to improve K-12 education in Little Rock?
Well, I think this is an issue that the mayor definitely needs to lead on. First and foremost, because right now we don't have an elected school board. And I told you I've spent 6 years in the state legislature, 2 of those years on the House Education Committee. I was opposed to the state takeover of our public schools, and I've been calling for a return to local control ever since. But our elected political leaders here in Little Rock have never engaged on this issue. And it's too important, number one, because we're cutting off opportunity for so many of our kids whose futures are dictated oftentimes by what neighborhood they live in, because their neighborhood dictates the quality of their public school. And we all know people who try to move to a different neighborhood to get their kids into the right school, or who send their kids to private school, or worse, they move out of our city because they don't have faith in our public schools. And so as mayor, what I want to do is lead a citywide conversation, something we haven't had. Everything we've done in the past few years has been reactive and piecemeal and ad hoc, a new school in one neighborhood, when we should be talking about the whole city and how we can make better facilities, pay teachers better, have universal pre-K and better zoning for everybody in the city of Little Rock.
All right, and we have Baker Curris now raising the first red card of the night. Mr. Curris, you can come to the microphone. You have 30 seconds to give your rebuttal.
I think it's really important to understand that if you want to talk about schools and talk about quality of schools, you need to go to schools. You need to get inside a school and see the dedication of the people that work there. Go to Stevens Elementary, as I did last week. Go to Geyer Springs Early Childhood Center, which was recommissioned as I was a school superintendent, where he added 300 pre-K seats. They just added 2 more classrooms. They're doing marvelous work. So I think before we talk too much about schools and disparities in schools, we need to go to schools and look at neighborhoods where we have kids in schools who are doing very, very good work. And I think it's necessary to really get your boots on the ground if you want to talk about this subject.
And we have another red card rebuttal, this from Frank Scott Jr. Mr. Scott, you can come to the microphone. You have 30 seconds to rebut.
Well, I appreciate the comments from both Mr. Saban and Mr. Curris. Being from the city and being the only product of Little Rock Public Schools, I understand that our city and our students have a horrible grade level reading program. If a child is not able to read by the time they're in the 3rd grade, they're either going to be on their way to being in jail or on the way to being dead. And here's the issue. There are prison statisticians right now determining the number of beds that have to be built for the number of children who can't read. So in the Scott administration, we have a public safety, a public education agenda that focuses on grade level reading, where we want to have summer reading academies. It will take $11 million to focus on that, and it'll help make certain that our children reach their full potential for the following years.
All right. Thank you for the, and now we have another red card rebuttal. This from Vincent Tolliver. This is his first red card rebuttal of the night. Mr. Tolliver, you have 30 seconds.
Thank you, Lance. This rebuttal is the notion, and this is for Frank, the notion of unifying the city is a nice slogan. It works in marketing, but unfortunately, the issue is it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. You cannot claim to unify the city when you are part of the problem. What do I mean by that? Frank's mentor is the city manager. The city manager is a big part of the problem in Little Rock, and we need to be very clear and very focused on that. So you can't make claims of unifying the city when the city manager is actually part of the problem.
All right. That is the end of round 2. We are partway through this debate tonight. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. We have Frank Scott is actually going to use his second and final rebuttal of the night. Mr. Scott, 30 seconds for your final rebuttal of the night.
Mr. Tolliver, it's great that you like to create despair and negativity in this race. If you would like to know who my mentor is, it's Judge Marion Humphrey. Also, it's Dr. J.J. Lacey. Also, it's the Secretary Rodney Slater. And also, it's my mother by the name of Brenda D. Scott. Those are my mentors. Now, is the city manager a friend? Yes. I'm born and raised in Little Rock, and quite frankly, he gave me a scholarship called the Ron Brown Memorial Scholarship. I can't help it that I'm running for mayor right now, and I have him as a friend. That's how we truly unify the city. We don't disparage people, we actually make friends.
All right. That, I believe, is round 2 of tonight's debate.
Finished up now. Thank you.
Fantastic. We will go to a break. We'll be right back with more of Little Rock Big Choice.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm Amanda Yeager for THV 11 News, and you're watching tonight's Mayoral Forum, Little Rock Big Choice. We're coming to you live from the Stella Boyle Smith Hall on the University of Arkansas at Little Rock's campus. For the last half hour, these 5 candidates, all hoping to be Little Rock's next mayor, have answered a number of questions concerning crime, education, and even their personal lives. Unlike other forums happening across the city, each candidate started the night with 2 red card rebuttals. Lance Turner with Arkansas Business is with me keeping track of how the candidates are using those. Lance, we have a few left, but quite a few were used before the break.
That's right. Yeah, we had quite a second round. We've got a few red card rebuttals left. We want to remind everyone Baker Curris has 1 left. Glenn Schwartz has both of his rebuttals left. Warwick Saban has both of his rebuttals left. Vincent Tolliver has 1 left. And so this is where we stand partway through the debate.
All right, thank you so much, Lance. Well, let's get right back into where we left off after the break. We're beginning round 3, and we have Baker Curris joining us. Which question would you like for tonight?
Thank you. I think I'll choose question 2, on the streets.
How do you propose getting rid of panhandlers near major intersections?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of work with panhandling, with a lot of serious introspection about that. And I'll tell you that it's unconstitutional to, quote, get rid of panhandlers in the public way. There's been a case about that already, and one has a First Amendment right to stand on the street and ask people. You can't be in the street, but you can stand in the public right of way. So that's something we have to respect. We have to be compassionate as well. We have to understand that within each of us is a desire to help people and to understand where people are. That's very difficult sometimes, but I think panhandling and homelessness are linked. I've done a lot of work with the Homeless Coalition recently, talking to them about how we can better integrate our service provision. We have a place in Little Rock called Jericho Way that's making real headway. It's a day treatment center, or at least a resource center where people can go and really begin to get integrated help that would move them from homelessness and panhandling to a proper and productive career. That's where we start.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll welcome Frank Scott back to the stage. What question would you like?
Report card number 2.
School shootings have become a tragic norm for our country. How do you think Little Rock schools could improve safety?
Well, we must understand that school safety is a true priority because our most precious assets in our city starts with our kids. I'm not in favor of the current gun laws that are a part of our nation right now. We have to protect them. I'm also not in favor of our teachers having guns. We have to work with the Little Rock Police Department to make certain that there are true crime prevention and gun violence and mass shooting issues and plans in place for our school districts, for our individual schools as we move forward, because we have to protect our students. Not only do we protect our students, we have to secure our neighborhoods. As I talk about public safety in our public safety agenda, one of the things it calls for is to increase our police force from 593 police officers to 700. But we have to focus on community policing and making certain that our community police are reflective of our community, to understand de-escalation tactics and implicit bias, to make certain that we can move things forward to protect not only our citizens, but as well as our children. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. We now have Vincent Tolliver back up. What question would you like?
Thank you, Amanda. I'll take Better Together, number 5.
Should police officers be required to live in the city?
That's a question that has been the subject of much debate, Amanda. I am for police officers living in the city. I'm not so sure about requiring them. I realize that I would rather, instead of requiring them, Amanda, to live in the city, I'd love them to be a part of the city and get to know the city where they serve and protect. What that means is we have 12 neighborhood resource centers scattered across Little Rock, and what I'd love to see happen, all police officers, those that live in the city and outside of the city, get to know the community, get to know the community leaders, get to know the people who run the neighborhood resource centers, get out of their cars and start going into the communities so that you can build trust, you can establish relationships, and you can get to know the people that you are sworn to protect and serve, and you do not come into the city with a chip on your shoulder if you live outside of the city. I'd like to foster that sort of culture and relationship in Little Rock.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll welcome back up Glenn Schwartz. What question would you like tonight?
Out politics for $400, please.
Who is your favorite musician, and do you follow any local bands?
favorite musician is Neil Young from the 60s. Well, I dreamed I saw the knights in armor come, saying something about a queen. I can sing the whole song for you, but it reminds me of one of the major things I'm running for. I believe that Little Rock has a destiny to become a major metropolis of the planet. Look at the global warming, could be sea level rise, maybe, maybe not. As your mayor, I announced a couple of short-term goals of decriminalizing marijuana and recycling for all. Those I can do in 1 year, but in 4 years, I will produce a plan for Little Rock to grow from its 180,000 to maybe 3 or 4 million people and still reduce the carbon footprint of the city. It's called the Metropolitan Village Plan, be high-density inner cities and then villages that are high-density going out, connected by mass transit. I have a vision for the future of this city.
All right, thank you very much. We'll welcome Warwick Saban back up. What question would you like?
Can I have on the streets number 3?
Is the lack of community programs for teens a problem? If so, how can we address it?
Well, I definitely think that the lack of community programs for teens is a problem in the city right now. I think one of the issues we have also is that the city of Little Rock really hasn't been measuring and holding programs accountable, the ones that they actually fund. So we can begin by making sure that we use our precious resources in City Hall to actually really spur the development of programs that are going to be more effective to reach out to more young people in all parts of the city. I also think that we need to work in partnership with so many great organizations throughout the city, whether those are religious organizations or nonprofits, some that aren't even youth-oriented, to create more opportunities for young people to experience new job skills and be exposed to careers and opportunities that maybe they're not seeing in their own neighborhoods or in their own schools. This is really important. You know, when you think about the importance of STEM careers and the trades and all of the other opportunities that sometimes that kids miss out on because they're not seeing it in their schools, we need to do that for young people after school and in the summers, and I want to do that as your mayor.
All right, thank you very much. And that concludes round 3. We'll be moving into round 4 now. We welcome back up Baker Curris. What question would you select for tonight?
I'll go with Better Together, number 1.
If elected, how do you plan to involve residents in your decision-making process?
Well, just like I did at the school district. I put my boots on the ground. I went to talk to people where the issues were. I didn't sit in a corner office and eat boxed lunches all the time. I got out and went to schools, for crying out loud. Who did I talk to? Students. Some of the greatest things I learned as school superintendent were with students. And I learned at Franklin Elementary you can trade a half of a dinosaur nugget for a snickerdoodle cookie. And you say, well, what's that about, Baker? That's about learning about kids and how to value people. And that's what you do. I won't be sitting around. That's why I ride my bike all over town. You can see what's going on. That's how you involve citizens, and citizens are who we serve. You turn this whole city upside down. And the mayor's not at the top of the pyramid. The mayor's at the bottom, serving everybody. We need a strong mayor, a mayor who understands budgeting, who understands how to do all those skillful things that are essential. But the main thing you want is a servant leader who will talk to people, who will reach out to people, understands people, values people. And that's what I did at the school district, and that's what I can do for our city.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Frank Scott Jr. back up. What question would you like?
On the streets for number 5, please.
Now he has already, Frank, you've actually already chosen on the streets, so the categories that are still available to you, though, are serve and protect and not politics.
Serve and protect. Report.
Besides jobs through the existing reentry program, what would you propose to assist individuals returning from incarceration?
In our jobs agenda at frankscottjr.com, we speak very heavily about this. We talk about opportunities, and we have the need for opportunity centers in many of our community centers in the South End and Southwest Little Rock, as well as the East End. And so what we would want to do is not only focus on reentry programs for our city jobs, but we have to make certain that our brothers and sisters that are reentering the society, that they understand that they have true job training, but not only that, a focus on entrepreneurship. As an associate pastor at Greater Second Baptist Church, I have the privilege of preaching and teaching at Tucker Mack Security Unit. And so that's one of the biggest things that we understand is that when our brothers and sisters are coming outside of the system, they have to find a job, because if they do not find the job, they are forced to have other issues plaguing them and challenging them that may sometimes revert to their other issues that brought them in jail in the first place. And so what we have to do is make certain as a faith community, a business community, and a community at large is that we not only provide job training and provide jobs, but make certain that our brothers and sisters understand on true entrepreneurship so they can create their own jobs as well. And that's what we need to do as we move our city forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And I will remind everyone, please hold your applause till the end. We will welcome Vincent Tolliver back up. What question would you like?
Thank you, Amanda. I'll take report card for number 3.
Currently, the state runs the Little Rock School District. When the time comes for a board to take over, what will you do to support LRSD?
Well, first of all, let me just talk a bit about the takeover that happened in 2015. We have a situation in Little Rock, as voters, as you know, where we have a commissioner who's not qualified to do the job, a commissioner that was appointed by the governor. So we need to also understand that the reason that the Little Rock School District was taken over in the beginning is because of a money issue. Money issue being the budget of the School Board of Little Rock is $365 million. The 2018 budget of the City of Little Rock is $265 million. So it was a money grab. And we also need to be very honest and frank about the makeup of the school board when it was taken over, which was majority African American. So let's make sure we have it in that particular context. Now, to get to your question about what would I do as it relates to recruitment for the Little Rock School District, I would work with people who are already engaged in the community and who have already strong advocates for education, take their suggestions, work to recruit people throughout the city to serve on the Little Rock School Board.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Glenn Schwartz back up. What question would you like tonight?
Better together, I'll stick with number 4.
Glenn Schwartz has chosen Better Together, number 4.
How will you work with businesses and tourism leaders to make our city more desirable to the tourism industry?
Once again, this is our city. It's 120 square miles. I looked up in my World Book the other day. We are already about the size of New York. As for tourists, I think that, as I mentioned, I think that global warming is real, and that sometime very soon, the coasts of Louisiana and Mississippi and Florida, and we will have millions of tourists coming here, and they will be coming here to stay. Those millions of people that live along the Gulf Coast and the Atlantic Coast may one day come here and look at this city as I did. Coming here from Reno and Las Vegas, I went, what a beautiful city, how green, with hills and such, 300 feet above sea level. I think that we're going to have our hands filled with people coming here and looking to establish residence here, and we need to assimilate them. These are people that are not, they shouldn't be kind of looked at refugees. They should be assimilated and provided jobs and a part of the community.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Warwick Saban back up. What question would you like tonight?
I'll take Better Together, number 2.
All right, Better Together, number 2. Your question is, how will your administration help close the racial divide in Little Rock?
Well, this is such an important issue for our city, and I can say that I approach it with a tremendous amount of humility, because I think that there's so much work that we have to do, and it begins by listening. And as mayor, I want to make sure that I'm going into every neighborhood in the city, and I'm asking people what they see the needs to be and how we think we can move forward. And I think we need to be more inclusive as a city government. So many of our boards and commissions right now are constituted by, in essence, people who represent one demographic. And we need to make sure that we set real goals that are transparent and public to make sure that we have true diversity in our boards and commissions and in our employment and hiring practices at the city. I think there's so much more that we need to do on this front, and I'm committed to doing it as mayor, but I'm not going to do it in a top-down way. I'm going to make sure that I'm listening, that we're trying to achieve true equity throughout the city and how we spend our money in every neighborhood, because I do believe that when we try to achieve equity that's measurable and transparent, we will achieve unity in our city.
All right. And we have a red card rebuttal. This is Glenn Schwartz's first red card rebuttal of the night. Mr. Schwartz, thank you very much. You can go to the microphone and you have 30 seconds to give your rebuttal to Mr. Sabin.
As you know, I've said I will decriminalize marijuana in Little Rock for a very good reason. The laws against marijuana were passed in the 20s and 30s. They were based on racism. They were designed to put blacks and Hispanics back on the chain gangs. And I'll rebuttal Warwick on this question because he was a state representative for 3 terms. And I went to him all 3 terms and asked him, would you please do a marijuana reform? Even after we passed medical marijuana, still nobody in the legislature even introduced a bill.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Schwartz. That was your second red card, or your first, rather, red card rebuttal of the night. And now we are moving into round 5, Amanda.
Round 5. We'll start again with Baker Curris. What question would you like for tonight?
Well, I'm down to report card, so let's go report card for 5.
What are your views on charter schools? Do you think charter schools are a path to be explored? Or should we I'm going to repeat that question. Please hold your applause till the end. What are your views on charter schools? Do you think charter schools are a path to be explored, or should we be investing more in our public schools?
Well, if charter schools would adhere to the statute, which says they're new, they're innovative, they get waivers from our state in order to do things that are designed to reach people who otherwise weren't succeeding, I would be leading the charge for charter schools. But instead, what we find when we look at the data, this is not Baker's politics, this is hard numbers. When I looked at the data and presented to the state board in March of 2016 about who they took from our school district out of these schools that people say are no good, you know what they took? 80% of the kids were proficient and advanced in literacy. 78% of the kids were proficient and advanced in math. That's who they took out of our schools, and they left it to Little Rock to educate the kids who were left. A lot of poor kids, a lot of kids of color, a lot of kids who were disabled, a lot of kids who didn't speak English, and it's unacceptable. And I'm supposed to be the candidate of the establishment. Okay? That's what they call me now. It's baloney because I spoke truth to power. And the truth is that we cannot leave people behind in our city. And if you segregate people by race, by language, by how much money they have, you are trying to leave them behind, and I won't tolerate it. And I got fired for it.
Thank you very much. We'll welcome Frank Scott Jr. back to the board. What question would you like for tonight?
Politics of 3.
Where are your favorite places to spend time in Little Rock?
Wow. If I'm going to be totally honest, for many people that know me know that I am a extreme foodie and I love the movies. And so I'm pretty much a man of routine. So on Wednesdays I go to David's Family Kitchen. On Fridays I go to Sim's Barbecue on Broadway. Just about every other night that I have opportunity, I go to Copper Grill as well. But not only that, I also go to Lassie's Inn when I want to have my great catfish. And so what you have in a Frank Scott is someone who knows this entire city from a food perspective. But as it relates to movies, I love all kinds of movies. My favorite movie of all time is Coming to America. It is quite, but I would also say my favorite documentary at this point in time is the new documentary that's been produced by a great Arkansan by the name of Matt Wilborn. When you get a chance, please Google him. But he produced a great documentary by the name of Maynard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Glenn Schwartz. Glenn Schwartz using his second and final red card rebuttal of the evening. Mr. Schwartz, you have 30 seconds to rebut Mr. Scott.
Just running out of time to rebuttals. I do want to say this. One of the things I'm going to do as your mayor, I said recycling is very important to me. One of the things I'm going to do as your mayor, I'm going to ride around on the recycle truck once or twice a month and hand out golden tickets to those people that are recycling correctly, good for dinner for 2, to one of the fine restaurants in Little Rock. That's what we need, is an incentive program for our recycle program to really get it revved up.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. That was your second and final red card rebuttal of the evening. Now we're going to get back on track. Oh, no, we have a red card rebuttal now from Mr. Vincent Tolliver. That is his second and final red card rebuttal of the evening. Mr. Tolliver, you have 30 seconds.
Earlier this evening, my friend Frank Scott accused me of being divisive. That is the farthest thing from the truth. I am inclusive, I'm all about people, but I'm truthful. I had a conversation just today with a very smart black woman, and this is what she said. She said, we must get in uncomfortable spaces for real change to occur. And the reason that we must get in uncomfortable spaces for real change to occur is because it's necessary. Why? Because it's normal and it's necessary to get in uncomfortable spaces. So I believe in speaking the truth.
And you can actually stay right up there because you're the next person in line. So what question would you like tonight, Mr. Tolliver?
We'll take On the Streets for number 5.
Highway leaders want to widen Interstate 30 across the river. Where do you stand on those changes?
We've talked in length about this issue, Amanda. I'm against it. I've said it before, and I'll say it here this evening. I think the I-30 in its current iteration, which is, I believe, 15 or 16, did not focus on the displacement of people, business, and disruption to the business core of Little Rock. You already have, for example, small businesses that are located downtown Little Rock. They've already moved to West Little Rock. And all of this is because of the impending I-30 crossing expansion. I have been against it throughout the campaign. I will continue to say that I'm against it because I don't think it was well thought out. I don't think it was well implemented. I don't think it involved enough of the neighborhoods and the people that it impacts. So I am against the expansion of I-30 in its current form. I don't think we need 14 lanes. I think that we also should have involved public transportation to come up with solutions, because when you get public transportation involved, you have a pathway to solutions, and we didn't do that.
All right, thank you very much. We'll now welcome Glenn Schwartz back up. What question would you like tonight?
My only question left is serve and protect number 5.
How do you feel about the legalization of recreational marijuana? Did your administration work to change local laws or policy?
This must be the Daily Double. Last year, the people of Little Rock passed medical marijuana by 53% of the vote. I was the most surprised guy in the state. I've been working on this for 30 years ago. Let me tell you, when I came here 30 years ago from Florida via Reno, I thought, well, you know, this is not a decriminalized state, you know, but I thought, no big. I'll go down to the state capitol and we'll get these laws changed shortly. 30 years of working on it. Finally, we had some kind of progress in the last election. Need I tell you that we are going to make further progress and go for legalization in 2020. I still wonder why the legislature doesn't do anything. They won't even debate an item for reform. So I think there's something broken about the legislature, but if we have to amend the Constitution again, that's what we're going to do in 2020.
All right, thank you very much. And now, Warwick, I know there are many questions to choose from up here, so I'm guessing you'll take Not Politics for 2. Sounds good. What neighborhood do you live in, and why do you live there?
That's a great question. So I live in Capitol View. I've lived in the same little street on same little house on Fountain Avenue for the last 14 years. I bought it as a 28-year-old bachelor. Now I live there with my wife, Jessica. We're actually going to be celebrating our 6th wedding anniversary on Saturday. And I love my neighborhood for a lot of different reasons. First of all, Capitol View, for those of you who don't know where it is, it's just west of the state capitol. So it's just south of the School for the Blind and just above 630. And so you're right in the middle of the city. You can get anywhere really quickly, but it's really quiet because it was actually planned as a park. It was called the Youngs Park subdivision. And all the streets are really curvy, and so you can't really get anywhere cutting through there, and so people don't. And so it's really quiet. And I could be out on my back deck, hanging out, and even though the interstate's right there and Markham Street's on the other side, it's just really quiet and peaceful, and I have great neighbors. They're great old houses. It's a historic neighborhood. I enjoy walking, all over the city from my house, and I plan on staying there for a long time.
All right, thank you so much, Warwick. We are now going to take a short break, and afterwards, we'll invite each candidate back up to give their closing statements. We'll be right back. To Little Rock Big Choice right here on THV 11. It's been an exciting night hearing from all of the different candidates running for mayor.
Fantastic. A lot of good exchanges, for sure.
Very good exchanges. Now we do want to give each candidate a chance to give their closing remarks.
All right, and we will start with Baker Curris. If you'll come to the microphone, you have 30 seconds for your closing remark of the evening.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I have a different skill set. I'm not a career politician, and I'm not all about just making speeches. I'm about results. Everything I've done has resulted in something that's valuable in this city, I hope. And that's what I want to do. I want to serve. I want to go to work for you as a servant leader who gets results, like new schools in Southwest, new schools out west, a different attitude and a different approach with people working together and valuing each other. It's Curris, U.S. That's what I want to do. So vote Baker Curris for mayor, please.
Thank you very much. We'll now welcome Frank Scott Jr. for his closing remarks.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, I am Little Rock, born and raised here and choose to be here. Little Rock is disconnected. I think about the times where I worked for Governor Mike Beebe, and my friend said, hey, let's go to Kavanaugh and have some drinks. At 22 years old, didn't know where Kavanaugh was. And guess what? I figured out that they didn't know where Gower Springs was as well. That's what's wrong with Little Rock. We're disconnected. We have to have intentional interaction to make certain that we focus on diversity in the marketplace and educational treatment. It is time for Little Rock to change for the better. In a Scott administration, you would truly find that to happen and be a part of a solution. Thank you so much. Please vote for Frank Scott Jr.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to your closing statements.
Well, I'll wait till the applause from Mr. Phillips dies. My name is Vincent Tolliver. I'm running for mayor of Little Rock for one reason and one reason only, and that's because I believe in people. When you think about changing the culture in which a city operates, you have to be willing to get into uncomfortable spaces. And that's what we need in a leader, and that's what we need in a mayor. There are a lot of things great about this city, but there are a lot of things, voters, as you know, need to be changed. And so I am that mayor that will get proximate, that will get down and do the work. I don't want to tell you about a resume. I will do the work.
Thank you very much. We'll now welcome Glenn Schwartz for his closing remarks.
And I am Glenn Schwartz, a legitimate candidate for mayor. Mayor Schwartz be with you. One of the main reasons I took this phrase, just to use that phrase. I hope it not to be just a phrase for my campaign. It'll be the phrase for my entire administration. May the Schwartz be with you. I want to point out one difference that didn't come up in this debate. I'm the only candidate that is against turning Little Rock into a sanctuary city. People must come here legally, but if they do come here legally, whether from abroad or from the southern states, welcome them, assimilate them, make them all into citizens of Little Rock.
Thank you very much. We'll now welcome Warwick Saban for his closing remarks.
Well, my wife Jessica and I love this city, but we know it could be so much better for everyone, and that's why I'm running for mayor. And I have a track record of getting real results for my 6 years in the state legislature, for my work in the private sector, running the Oxford American, creating the Innovation Hub, and for my community service, serving on the boards of so many different organizations around this city. I hope you'll go to my website, sabanformayor.com, and check out my positions on the issues. But more importantly, I'm asking for your vote. Early voting starts on Monday. Election day is 2 weeks from next Tuesday, and I hope you'll vote for me, Warwick Saban, for mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all the candidates. Let's give a final round of applause to these 5 men vying for the board. We want to remind you that all of these answers tonight, all the questions came straight from THV 11 viewers, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules to answer all of them tonight. Thank you so much. And a quick note to everyone watching from home tonight, to make your voice heard, you must vote. Thousands of people will start voting next week by taking advantage of early voting. Again, that is on October 22nd. The locations are open during the day with varying hours, and some locations are open on Saturdays. Head to thv11.com for a list of early voting sites. Early voting runs through the Monday before the general elections. Again, we want to give a big thank you to all of our candidates tonight. I know, Lance, this has been a very interesting experience.
It has been
with
fantastic.
all of your experience doing these forums.
That's right. Yeah, we've had a lot of good exchanges tonight, and I think what we've seen lately in the last few days has been revealed is that there are still a big chunk of the electorate out there who don't know who they're going to vote for yet. And so this is a key time to be hearing these discussions and having these arguments, and so we appreciate them coming in tonight and sharing their views with us, and to the viewers as well for submitting the questions and making the program be what it is tonight.
Yeah, we could not do it without all the viewers here with THV11. We couldn't do it without all of you for coming here and willing to step up to the plate to run for the next mayor. We also want to again say thank you so much to UA Little Rock here on this campus for letting us come here. We appreciate it. It has been such an exciting and wonderful night. We appreciate everyone here in our live audience as well for being a part of this. We truly appreciate you taking part in the civic process and wanting to hear from all of these mayoral candidates. We do want to remind you that if you did join us late in the broadcast, we will post the full forum on thv11.com, so make sure to head there. So thank you again so much for joining us, and thank you, Lance Turner, for joining us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.